after that point, I continued down this dark path of drugs and all this stuff, and so 2013, 2014, I caught a distribution charge of heroin and ended up getting locked up about a year later for 18 months. And they charged me with 10 years, suspended 8.5. And that really rocked my world because I had just went to massage therapy school
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated 3 days after the charge. So I got my certificate, but I can't be a part of the nursing board, which means I can't really do it. And so, I mean, it wrecked my world because I had a kid at the time. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm trying to change my life, and you think like people tell you like work hard, put in the work, it'll pay off. And so I'm thinking, man, I worked my butt off to go to this school, it was hard for me and I did it. And now I can't, and it just got ripped out from under me. And so that really rocked me. So I got locked up for 18 months. And in that place, I was like, man, all the times before were like 30 days, 2 weeks, this one really like hit me. Now I'm away from my kid for, a year and a half. And I'm thinking in there, I'm like, man, I really need to change my life. I need to change the way that I'm moving out here. And so I started getting hungry for God. I said, I need to like encounter God or something. And when I was in jail, I met this guy that I knew from the street. And like the last, meetup we had, he had like owed me money on something. He didn't like rob me, but he basically owed me money. And like we were not friends, but we were cool. We were party friends.
Yeah.
And I seen him in there and he got like a 13-year sentence and he had been gone for 5 years. And when I saw him, he was different. He's talking about Jesus and leading Bible studies. And I'm kind of looking at this guy like, dang, he really is different. I can't lie. You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
definitely different. Um, but he's kept talking about Jesus to me. And I remember one day I snapped on him and was like, bro, get away from me. I'm tired of like leave. You know what I'm saying? But that was like the first real seed in my life because something about him I'd think about it. And so I got shipped off to another jail towards by Richmond and I'm in there and then I come back and it was weird because and the reason I share this is because something about it, I started having faith in Jesus, even though I had no encounter with him, no revelation of him, nothing. I didn't know him at all. But
Just
I
through
just started
someone else's testimony.
yeah, but it's and something about it just I was like, yeah, Jesus is my God. Like I started doing that. And so when I got out, I started going to church and I'd go to church and be like, this is the one day I could be somebody different. That was my thought. I was just like, man, I'm this heroin addict every other day, but Sundays I can like just feel normal, I guess, and I'd feel some type of peace. It was very, very like small, but it was noticeable. And so I started going to church and I was rapping at the time and it was crazy because I was listening to an old song a while ago and I was like shouting out Jesus in a song, but I'm laughing. I'm like, what? I was doing that, because I'm like, I was so in the world. I was getting high, nothing to do with God but I would pronounce like, yeah, I believe in Jesus. And
Mm.
it was weird. Like I didn't pray nothing. I don't know what made me do that, but I was laughing. I was like, dang, so it's kind of funny to hear that. But
The beginning of your faith.
the beginning, yeah, because I didn't even know it was faith. And then so what was crazy is what started happening was I started getting convicted about little things that I would have cared about. And
Mm.
mind you, at this point I don't even know what conviction is. I don't know anything. And I'll never forget I read a Bible one night that I got from, you go to church and like if you just got saved, get this bag. So I got one of those like Bibles and I started reading Samuel. I just opened it up, it landed to First Samuel. So I started reading. And for the first time in my life, I remember the Bible like came to life and I was sucked into it. And I was like, dude, I was like, this is real stories. This is crazy. You know what I mean? And that's a crazy story for Samuel. You know what I mean? Where Israel's fighting and Eli's sons get killed. And you know what I mean? They're offering bad. Like it was this crazy story. And so I'm like, dang, this is a war story. This is
Yeah.
sick. You know what I mean? So like, I'm getting all sucked into it. And
Yeah.
then I remember I started getting, convicted about, I was taking Suboxone at the time to get off. I was trying to stay clean off dope. So I'm trying, you know what I mean? I'm trying to clean my life up but I'm just failing. And for a year, I'd be begging God. I'd be like, God, please don't let me go get this drug. Like,
Mm.
please stop me. Please intervene. I'm begging God. I'm crying out to Jesus. And so like I add this because so many people are like, yeah, I tried to call on God. And so I share this because it's like, I cried out to God for a year before I actually encountered him. I cried out to God for a year before I actually had that moment and I think it's because God had to take everything from me. He had to crush me. You know what I mean? I wasn't surrendered. And so this goes on. I end up homeless. And so the 2017, that summer, I end up homeless. Everything's gone. Everything's getting taken from me. My life just hits a dead end. You know what I mean? I'm out on 2 bonds. I wrecked 2 cars within 2 weeks. I wrecked 2 cars, totaled them, got 2 charges. You know, I'm out on 2 bonds. I lost my job, and then I lose the place that I'm living. So my life just like it's like I'm like climbing, and then it was just like boom, crash, done.
Yeah, something I heard from your other testimonies too is like during this time, like the demonic encounters that you were having with like the sleep paralysis and your uncle. I don't know if this is all kind of in the same
Yeah.
period.
Yeah, this is all the exact same time frame. So I'm homeless, and all that stuff starts happening. So that's basically what kicked it off. Was this girl I was dating? Her mom started talking to me about God. I'd go over there, and like she knew I was homeless, so she was like, you know, she didn't want her daughter with me. You know what I mean? But she liked me, so she was like trying to be supportive. But she would tell me like, you know, you're in warfare. You need to turn to Jesus. Like she would tell me that, and
Yeah.
so what kicked it off was I stopped going to church for months prior. And I went to work one day, and this Spanish lady came up to me. She said, "God said you need to see him," and that was what kicked it off. Because, and you know, I'm like, "Yeah, no." I was like, "He needs to see me."
Yeah.
Like, you know, how do I get in touch with the guy? Let me know. So I went to the church for an AA meeting, and for 2 weeks in a row, I did this. I went to the church. I left the building or the meeting. Went to the chapel, and I said, "God," I said, "I'm here." I said, "What do you want to say to me? What's up?" And I sat in the pew, opened the Bible, and 2 weeks in a row, I read Psalm 18. I didn't know it the first time I read it. The next week, I went and did the exact same thing. Just flipped it open, and I'm reading like, "Oh, I read this before." Psalm 18. So that marked me where I was like, "Dude, that was too crazy." I'm meditating on that now, like for days later. Then when I got saved, I'm in the jail. This guy's like, "You want a Bible?" He hands me the Bible. When I open it, it was Psalm 18. So it was 3 times that God, and to this day, that's my strength verse. You know what I mean? Like that's my God wrote that verse just for me in case anyone wants to know that chapter.
What's that one say? Psalm 18. What? Just like if you
Oh, it's
paraphrase.
it's "Oh, the Lord is my rock, I love you." It's
Mhm.
like my fortress, my foundation. It says, but basically it says, "I praise you." It says, "Death surrounded me, the enemy encamped around me, death surrounded me, and I cried out to my God. You heard me from your chambers." And
Wow.
then it's like he came out and rescued me. You know what I mean? And I could paraphrase the whole chapter, but not quote for quote. Um, and so yeah, so I had an overdose while I was homeless, and I found myself like walking through a tunnel of hell. I
Mhm.
overdosed, and there was demons around me, and when one's like leading me to this big like golden door, and he said, "One more step, you're almost there." And then he turned around to look at me, and he had this big grin because all demons like they were all like laughing and like like this hideous like evil, and I was like, "What? Where am I?"
Yep.
And it's told me, "You're almost there, one more step." And I said, "Nope, hell no." I turned around, and I woke up in a pool of sweat. So that was the next like boom, something crazy is going on. I don't know what it is, but something like
Yeah.
now these supernatural things are starting to happen.
That's what.
About Yeah, yeah, yeah. And 2 weeks later, I have another encounter where I was at my grandma's house, and the TV, laying down and go to sleep. My uncle's next to me. The TV starts turning into demonic voices, and they're talking about me. They said, "His name's Josh. We have to destroy him." I'm hearing this. I'm laying there. The TV turned like staticky, and then the characters. It was American Pickers. The 2 characters in that show, they turned into demonic voices and started talking about me. It was like demons like hijacked the frequency of the TV and started communicate. It was crazy. I don't know what. Um, and I started feeling something try to get in my body. I was like fighting, you know what I mean? But I was in sleep paralysis, fell off the bed screaming, didn't know it, woke everyone up, and and then I lay back down, and basically this voice is telling me, "Kill my uncle, like just
Yeah.
kill him." And so while I'm disagreeing with this, like, why would I do that? I'm finding myself acting like starting to do it, getting out of bed, going over to him,
Yeah.
like about to just, I don't know, choke him or crush his head. I don't know what I was gonna do. They were telling me just crush his head. So that was the next thing where I'm like, what was that? So now fast forward another like 2 weeks. I'm about to try to get clean. So I'm at a hotel with this girl, and I get high on heroin, and I know I'm about to overdose. And I didn't want to intentionally, but basically was just like I didn't care at that point. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not trying to overdose, but if it happens, it happens. And I cried out to God one more time. I said, "God, like," I said, "I'm just tired of this." I said, "What do you want from me?" I said, "I went to church. I said the sinner prayer. I tried reading the Bible. I tried praying." I said, I did everything, like everything that like anyone told me to do, and I tried. I said, "This is all I know." I said, "These drugs, I'm looking at them. I'm like, this is all I've known for 12 years. Like, sorry, like, forgive me, but I don't know what to do." And I started saying the Lord's Prayer while I was shooting up and preparing my shot, I ended the prayer and then did the shot. I said, "Forgive me," and did the shot. And I knew I was about to overdose, and I went to run out the room. I felt it hit my body, like, oh, that was too much. And I went to run out the room, and I woke up in ambulance, in jail. So now basically I'm in jail, and in jail I start reading the Bible. I'm in this program, it was a Christian program. I start reading the Bible, start praying, and so about 2 weeks into it, something clicked where I was a different person. Next thing I know, I'm not the same. Next thing I know, I would go to make a dirty joke, because all in jail, all they talk was girls, guns, drugs, and crime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like that's all people talk about for the most part. If it's not like crime and drugs, it's women. So it's like um, I find myself like going to make a joke that I normally would make, and it felt like it wasn't me. I
Mm.
got so convicted, and I would be like, "Why'd that sound so corny? Why'd that sound so fake?" Like, and I'd be like, "Dude, I don't wanna be in this conversation." I'd go and read my
Wow.
Bible. So all this stuff is happening, you know what I mean? Where I'm just changing, and I'm just like, I don't the more I read my Bible, the more on fire I got, and the more I would change, and one day, people started noticing. That's what really got me, because 'cause I'm internally like, "What is going on with you, Josh? Like, you're not who you are. Like, what is something's changing." And then people started coming up to me and being like, "Dude," one guy was like, "What happened to you, man?" He's like, "There was like a significant change in you in like the last week. What happened?" I said, "Bro, Jesus, I don't know. I'm reading this Bible. I guess I don't know if something happened." And then this one kid was like, "Bro, every time I'm having a bad day," he's like, "I'll just look at you and I'll get happy." He's like, "I don't know what," like he's like, "You're just so joyful." It was like I was alive for the first time in my life. I'm experiencing joy and peace. And I was like, I mean, it probably annoyed people. You know what I mean? Like I felt bad because I was like, I was so filled with joy, like, I looked manic or something, like, I was just, like, laughing all day. I'm in jail, I'm looking at my life is over as far as I know, you know what I mean? I got 8 years on my head, brought back a new f my life is done. My mom's like, "You're not getting a bond, Josh." And I was like, "Praise God, this is amazing." You know what I mean? Like, I was just so freshly just and
Wow.
so I'm like, yeah, I'm getting wrecked by God, and he ends up working it out. I get bonded out 2 months later, and just it's been a journey since then, just Jesus, you know?